start. We'll start with atoms and
So,
molecules.
ma'am, for the video students, is it only for our practice or we have to upload it somewhere?
Only for your practice. But ensure that you're solving that because it will help you, right? So don't just sit and tell me that we've done these questions. Okay, please actually solve it. Okay, fine. Chalo, let's start. Okay, so how many of you have revised the chapter atoms and molecules? Did you all go through it?
Ma'am, I just had doubt in the mole concept.
Acha, okay, fine. So what we'll do, we'll quickly just skim through the chapter. Fine, then we'll go on to the questions. Okay, and all your doubts, whatever doubts you
Hello,
may have,
ma'am.
we'll get it clear. Hi, yes, tell me.
Yeah, ma'am. Like, are you recording this session or is it like just like that?
No, I'm recording it.
Okay, ma'am.
So it will be available. Yeah. Okay. So let's quickly start a quick revision of this chapter. Okay, so the first. Yeah, sure, I'll explain mole concept. Why not? Okay, so
नीचे चले गई थी तो चॉकलेट ढूंढ रहे थे मैं मम्मी हूँ मेरे को सब पता चल जाता है मैं नहीं रहती तो हाँ तो
fine. So let's yeah, I got it. I think most of you are having some issue with mole concept, so we'll get it cleared. Fine. I'll come to that. Let's start with the basic things first. Huh? Yes, tell me.
Nothing, miss. I was just asking, did you start writing? Because I have low internet, so I think you started and I
No, I haven't written anything yet. Okay.
Okay, miss.
So if you are having any internet issues or anything as such, I'll be uploading the recording so you can refer to that. Okay, don't worry.
Yeah, miss.
Okay, so we'll start. So let's start with the basic definition. What is an atom? You can see and tell me, that's fine. You can see your notes. Smallest part of matter, okay. What about the others? Okay, fine. Don't give me the exact definition, but just tell me what do you understand by the term atom? Is that fine? Smallest particle of matter. Okay,
Smallest substance that can exist independently.
awesome. That's great. Yes. Okay, so then the next term we will come to is then what is a molecule? Atom is a pure single form of matter which cannot be broken. Okay, Anirban. Okay, so basically atom is, yeah, it is, you can say it is the smallest particle which exists independently, isn't it? Which cannot be broken down further. Okay, Vasudha says two or more atoms combine to form a molecule. Correct. Okay. Combination. Okay, yeah. One says smallest particle of an element or a compound. Yes, cool. Okay. I believe that's for atom. Okay. You all can answer also. It's not necessary you have to type it, okay? You can answer if you feel like. Okay, so yeah, molecule is basically two or more atoms together, isn't it? They combine together and form a molecule. Like, okay. Yeah. So like, if I say atom, What will be the example if I take atom? Atom, I can say oxygen is an atom, correct? If I write O, this is an atom of oxygen, isn't it? And what is a molecule? When two atoms of oxygen combine
O2.
to get O2. Yes, this is a molecule, correct? Then we come to this term, then there is this interesting term. What is this then? What is atomicity? Okay. Uh, so have you all read the chapter recently or no? Just tell me that so I know how fast or slow I should go.
Ma'am, haven't done this chapter like in recent times.
Okay, fine. All of you, has anybody revised it recently?
This chapter?
Yes, this chapter.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, miss, in our school it is going on. In Billabong it is going on.
Okay, it's going on. So you haven't completed the chapter yet, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, so there is a term known as atomicity. Yeah, Vansh has given the answer. Correct. So basically, atomicity is nothing but the number of atoms which constitute a molecule. Should I write it here? Number of atoms which constitute a molecule. What does that mean? You take this example of O2 itself, right? So if I'm saying O2 is a molecule, it is made up of two atoms, correct? Or it's also known as diatomic. Ringing any bells now? There are these terms called monoatomic, diatomic. Okay, monoatomic, diatomic, triatomic, and you have anything above 3 normally is denoted as polyatomic. Okay, mono means one, so it is made up of one atom only. Di is two. Cool. Okay, so mono is an example. Anybody? Monoatomic molecule. If I say, okay, I'll give you an example. So Na,
C.
yeah, fine. C,
Cl.
okay, even argon. This is the example in your book, I guess, textbook. Okay, so di is 2. 2 example is right here.
Magnesium.
Okay. O2. Yeah. H2, correct. Hydrogen.
Cl2.
N2, yes. NaCl, Vasudha. Okay. I won't say NaCl is a diatomic molecule because NaCl becomes a compound, right? A molecule will be made up of the same kind of atom. Like, okay, so don't get confused there. So molecule basically is made up of the same kinds of atoms. Okay, like O2, or if I tell this example like you gave H plus H will give you H2, isn't it?
Ma'am,
N2,
in monoatomic, can't you write Cl chloride? Because it's
yeah,
Cl minus.
sure, yeah. No, okay, so that minus concept doesn't come here. That is the valency.
Yes, ma'am. 1. The
Ha.
valency is 1.
So yeah, it's minus because it's an ion and because the valency is -1. This is with respect to only the number of atoms which form the molecule. Okay. So like this is N2, then there are more also. You can keep adding to this list. Then triatomic, classic example is ozone.
Aluminium.
Correct.
Ma'am, aluminium phosphate. So aluminium and phosphate.
Again, that becomes a compound.
No, I'm not talking about the compound. It's two separate. Aluminium and
Okay.
another one, another
Okay.
example, phosphate.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Al3. Okay, phosphate, I'm not really sure. Aluminum,
That will be polyatomic, I think. Sorry.
uh, no, actually phosphate becomes, it's PO4, 3 minus. So, it's made up of two different kinds of atoms. So, I don't think it will come here. Okay, and the last one is polyatomic, anything beyond
Methane.
3. Sorry, did
CH4.
somebody say something?
Methane.
Methane. Okay. Again, that becomes a compound. Like, just give me 1 second. Okay, yeah. So basically, they will fall under compounds. Methane, again, it's CH4, correct? Two different atoms, atom of carbon and atom of hydrogen, combining together to form a compound. So no, not a valid example. This will be anything. It has to be the same type of atom, basically. So what can you give as an example of polyatomic?
Sulfate.
Sulfate is polyatomic? Uh, okay, yeah, fine. Sulfate. Then I guess you can include phosphate here also. That will be fine then. PO4. Aluminium, yep. I have included aluminium in triatomic. Okay, fine.
Hydrogen carbonate.
Sodium, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Hydrogen carbonate.
Hydrogen carbonate. Okay, that will be HCO3. Okay, yep. Yeah, we can consider that.
Aren't these compounds?
Okay, so I'm not really sure about that, whether you have add
Benzene.
here or not. But then
C6H6.
yeah, then if compounds are allowed, then there are many. Like because in your book, actually, they have only given examples of molecules. Okay, molecules as in O2, H2, N2. They haven't mentioned examples like phosphate or yeah, okay, benzene, yeah, methane, all those things they haven't mentioned. So I'm not really sure whether it falls under this or not. Okay, I'll get back to this. No worries. Fine. So atom, molecule, then atomicity. Then there are these 4 categories: monoatomic, diatomic, triatomic, polyatomic. Then there is another concept, which is there are two laws, correct? One is the law of conservation of mass. Anybody can tell me the law? Law of conservation of mass. Anybody? Okay, so this is like there are two laws in
Ma'am,
this chapter. Huh? Yes, tell me.
sorry.
Tell me, tell me.
I was trying for conservation of mass.
Huh?
I guess it says that mass can neither be created or destroyed.
Correct. You're right. Okay, just add, and the end we just have to add in a chemical reaction. That's all. So this law states that,
Miss,
yes.
Miss, I just checked in the notes given by the Academy.
Hmm.
They have not mentioned about the atomicity.
Oh, it's there. It's very much there. Wait a second. I have it open here. Okay. I saw atomicity here only, and yeah, here it is. Can you see my screen? It's right here.
Yeah,
The
ma'am.
number of atoms constituting a molecule is known as its atomicity.
Okay, okay.
Here, I've tried to like highlight it. Yeah, if you can see now. So see, the examples they have given are basically just molecules. They are not compounds. They haven't taken into account ions and compounds and all those things. So that's why I'm having a doubt whether at your level whether it is included here or not. But I'll check that. I'll check that and get back to you. So they won't ask you polyatomic. Mostly they'll ask you easy basic ones like mono and di. They might ask one or two try. So for di, all the elements which come under noble gases, you can write all of them. You got it right? What I'm trying to say. So for diatomic, everything like Cl2, Br2, I2, this whole group 17, I'd say. Group 17, I2, F2, all these will come under diatom.
Ma'am, can you repeat the law of conservation?
Yes, sure. So the law of conservation of mass states that a mass can neither be created, I'm writing it on the board, neither be created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. Okay. And then there is one more law. So there are two important laws in this chapter. This is one law, the other is law of constant proportions. If you see in your NCERT, the chapter actually begins with this. They start off with law of conservation of mass, then they come to law of constant proportions, then they come to what is atom, what is molecule, what is atomic mass, and all that. Anybody? Law of constant proportions, do you remember?
Can I?
Yes, sure.
Ma'am, this law states that every pure substance always contains the same element in same proportion.
Okay. Yes, that's one way of saying it, correct? Okay, so basically just break it down. Like if I'm talking of the first law, if I'm saying conservation of mass, what do you mean by conservation? Conservation basically means to save, or basically, what do you say? How should I break it down? You conserve something, energy is conserved, if I say something like that. Are you getting it? Basically, layman term would be save for conservation. So, law of conservation of mass will say that how do you save the mass or how do you balance the mass? So, what are they trying to say? That basically, if I am using this as a reaction, if suppose this is my reaction, H2 plus O2 is giving me H2O. Okay. So, in this reaction, now nothing new is getting created, right? These elements like hydrogen and oxygen are just combining to give you water. Okay, you won't find something like bromine here or chlorine here. It won't just appear magically. That's all it's trying to say. That basically mass is not created or destroyed in a chemical reaction. This is a reaction, right? H2 plus O2 giving you H2O is a reaction. Okay, you want to balance it. This will be the balanced reaction. So this is how you break it down. For the second one, yeah, like he said, it is nothing but law of constant proportion. So what does it mean that the word constant proportions? Constant is same, correct? So something related to same proportions, it will come in this law. So it's nothing that in a chemical substance, what is a chemical substance? Anything which is made up of atoms, or you can go one step up and say molecules. So everything, compound, this actually is applicable to compounds as such, because they say the proportion of elements is the same. So the elements are always present in definite proportions by mass. So what are they trying to say? Let's take example of water only, okay? When you talk about water, water is actually made up of 1 part of hydrogen and 8 parts of oxygen, okay? So no matter how water is formed, like it is formed in the lab chemically by mixing hydrogen and oxygen, or it is coming via the water cycle or any process, okay? Or it is coming out as a byproduct of some other reaction, okay? No matter how you are trying to form the molecule, or no matter how it appears in a reaction, the ratio always is hydrogen is 1 and oxygen is 8 parts. Okay, this is fixed. So that's what the law says, that in a chemical substance like H2O, the elements, what are the elements? Hydrogen and oxygen are always present in definite proportions, which means same ratio or same how should I put it in simpler words for you? Same parts, okay? Same amount of parts. Like actually, I can also say this is 1 part hydrogen and 8 parts oxygen. Okay, it can also be said like this. So, yeah, so the elements are always present in definite proportions by mass. That's all. Okay, so after this we go on to another important concept, which was Dalton's atomic theory. Okay, so there was this famous scientist Dalton. He proposed that he was the one who came up with the fact that atoms are the smallest particles which exist independently, and also he gave some postulates. So I'm not writing it here, I'm going back to your notes. It's all here. I'll just read it out from here. Okay, here. So Dalton's atomic theory states that all matter No, whether it's an element, compound, or a mixture. Okay, so an element is basically having the same type of atoms or molecules. Okay, like if I go back to my board, I can say hydrogen is an element, oxygen is an element, okay, but water becomes a compound, correct? Okay, so it basically says all matter is composed of small particles called atoms. So this is the whole point of this theory, and there are these six important points which he has stated, which you should also remember. Very first thing he says is all matter is made up of very tiny particles called atoms. Then he goes on to describe what are atoms. Atoms are indivisible particles which cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction. Okay, then atoms of a given element are identical in mass and chemical properties, correct? So what does this point say? Atoms of a given element. So if I'm considering oxygen as my element, so each atom, so it's O2, right? So if I split it, I'll get O and O. So each O, whichever I get, has the same mass and will have the same chemical properties, isn't it? You won't get something like one different atom of oxygen and one which is showing something else. So it will it'll have same chemical properties and same mass. And what is the next point? Okay, if so same elements have same mass and chemical properties, then different will have different ones, isn't it? So I think you can use an example like I have taken water here to actually, explain the laws and the atomic theory. Like that, you can also choose any compound of your choice, either take water only or take NaCl, something like that, and use that as a reference point, then you will remember all these points easily, isn't it? So first thing he says, if I'm taking NaCl, for example, I'll write here NaCl. What is the first thing Dalton says? That matter is made up of atoms, correct? So NaCl is a compound which is made up of Na atom and Cl atom, correct? So we got our first point. Then second point he says is that what does he say? Atoms are indivisible particles, correct? So I cannot break down Na further or Cl further, correct? I'll just be left with Na and Cl, isn't it? Then you go to are identical in mass. Okay, so all Na atoms will be same, all Cl atoms will be same, but Na will be different from Cl. That combines third and fourth point. The fifth point is atoms combine in a ratio of small whole numbers to form compounds. So this is what I gave you example for H2O. So this is fixed, okay? This is a fixed rule that it will combine as in the ratio 1:8 itself. It won't change at any under any condition, under any circumstances. It's not going to change. It will always be 1:8. So that's all he's saying, that they combine in the ratio of small whole numbers to form compounds. The relative number and kind of atoms are constant in a given compound. So what is the last point saying? Last point is saying that if I'm taking NaCl, I'll always get NaCl, correct? Or if I'm taking H2O, I will, if I want to form water, okay, via any method, the formula for water will always be H2O. It is never going to be H3O or H2O2, something like that, isn't it? It's never going to be this. It's always going to be water. That's all the fifth point says. The last point says that the relative number and kind of atoms are always constant in a given compound. Okay, so this is done. This is done with like the first half of the chapter, and the second half deals with molecular mass and mole concept. Okay, so let's see the definitions from here only. Okay, so coming to mole. So there is this scientist, his name was Avogadro. Okay, he came up with this number, which is nothing but, okay, this number is very crucial in chemistry. Like you're going to keep coming across this even later on.
Ma'am, 1 second.
Yes.
Oh, I wanted to take a screenshot.
Oh, I'm recording this lecture. So okay, just 1 second. Maybe I can undo it. Wait. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Shall I erase it?
Yes, ma'am.
So I was talking that there's this scientist. His name was Avogadro. Okay. And he came up with this number, which is also known as Avogadro's number or Avogadro's constant. Okay, I'll write it here. Avogadro's number or Avogadro's constant. What is this? Is basically 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. Or they make it 6.023. It's easy to remember. It's 23 here, 23 here, so you'll always remember, isn't it? Okay. So what is this number? Let's go back to your notes to find out. Okay. So that number is basically, it's here, isn't it? It's nothing but the number of particles present in 1 mole of any substance is same and fixed, which is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. That is your Avogadro's number or Avogadro's constant. Okay, so now we have established that. Let's go back to the fact what is mole. Okay, so come back to that. So if I'm saying that there is, let's say there is, I was talking about hydrogen and oxygen, correct? So they are two different molecules, correct? They are made up of, this is made up of H atoms, this is made up of O atoms, correct? Now, like Dalton's atomic theory stated that they have the same mass. So all O atoms will have the same mass, correct? So how will you know what is the mass? Okay, the question arises, okay, these people have, like oxygen atoms have the same mass. Okay, but what is the mass? So the scientists, they were facing a dilemma, like how do you measure the mass of atoms like this? So what they did is they came up with this isotope, carbon C12 is the isotope. So isotope is basically, you might come across this later, but just for your understanding, I'll tell you now. It is basically like carbon actually exists in two different states. Okay, it exists as C4 also, it exists as C6 also, and so on. So in these different states, an isotope is something like that. So it's one of the states of carbon in which its mass is like it's denoted as C12. Okay, so the scientists, they came to an agreement that this actually they found it to be really stable, and the fact that the mass of this isotope they were able to calculate. So they referenced all the other masses with respect to this and came across this concept which is known as atomic mass unit. So break this term down. Atomic will be with respect to atoms, obviously the mass, and unit. So it's going to be basically the, how should I say, the smallest value. So this is basically 1/12 the mass of C12 of, okay, one atom of C12. I should write that. Okay, so this actually turns out to be just one. So Yeah, this is one of the definitions. What is atomic mass unit? So all this is there in your book, in your textbook also. It's scattered, but I just brought it together.
Ma'am, can you explain it again?
Yeah, sure. So I was talking about uh, okay, I was talking about the Dalton's atomic theory, in which he says that all similar atoms have same kind of mass, isn't it?
Miss,
How do you, tell me.
since due to some internet issues, I just missed some 5 minutes. So can you please tell me what you did?
Okay, I was just explaining that part again. So yeah, sure, I'll just explain it again. Okay, I was discussing how do we arrive at mass of any element. I was discussing something about that. So the scientists, they came to an agreement that they will use carbon 12. Okay, they actually, okay, at this point it's enough for you to know that the elements exist in different states. Okay, that they may have different number of subatomic particles. Because of that, they exist in different things. Like there is C can exist like C is carbon, right? So it exists as C12, it also exists as C14, and it also exists as some one another form. Okay, so these different forms which it exists as are known as isotopes. Okay, so the scientists, they came to this conclusion that the C12 isotope can be used as a reference to measure the mass of all other elements. Okay, so then they came to the definition of this important unit, which is known as the atomic mass unit. So which is nothing but 1/12 the mass of one atom of C12. Okay. So basically C12, I'll tell you why they came up with this. Why it's 1/12. Okay. This is just for your understanding. Basically, C12 has a mass of 12. You denote AMU as U. Okay, this is AMU in short, or U. Okay, so this actually translates to 1/12 into 12, which is nothing but 1. That's how they came to a reference point. Correct. So now they have arrived at the basic unit. So now all the other elements, the mass was given in accordance to this. So if I tell you something like,
Why did you do 1/12 into 12?
this is the definition of atomic mass unit. It's 1/12 the mass of one atom of carbon 12. So basically what I was trying to say here was
So
carbon 12.
1/12 I understood, but
So one atom will be one U, huh? Then?
Yeah, this is the definition. It will be 1U. Yes. But then this is applicable to others also. So tell me.
I understood why you took 1/12, but why did you multiply by 12?
Okay, yeah, this is what I have underlined it here. So C12, the mass of C12 is 12U. Okay, the reason it's called a C12 isotope is because the mass is 12. You generally denote isotopes with their mass because they have the same atomic number. Okay, so at this point, it's enough for you to know that basically this is for your understanding. Okay, for a learning point of view, this definition you can just stop it there itself. Like you need to remember, if they ask you what is an atomic mass unit, it's there in your NCERT also, and it's there in your workbook also. So what is an atomic mass unit? The definition is it's 1/12 the mass of one atom of carbon 12. Remember this. Just to make it easier for you that why it is 1/12, I tried to show you the working. So this is just like for understanding purposes, what I put in a blue box. The logic is carbon 12 has a mass of 12. Okay, that's the whole point of calling it C12. So 1/12, the mass of that will give you nothing but 1. So you arrive at the most basic.
Okay, so if we do for carbon 14, then it will be 1/12 into 14, right?
Yes. So you will come up with something else. So that will be the AMU for C14. So you're right. That's how they actually calculate the mass for everything. For all the elements. For, like, for oxygen. The mass is 18, correct? Am I right? It's 18, isn't it?
Isn't it 16?
It's 16.
Yes. I had a feeling I was making a mistake. Okay. So this is 16. So this U, so they write it as U. You would have noticed, isn't it? While solving, you would have come across U. This is nothing but atomic mass unit. That's all. So I was just trying to, show you a relation between everything so that it's linked somewhere. It's not like some alien thing for you. Okay, once again, like I'm saying, just remember the definition of AMU, that is sufficient. Okay, what atomic mass unit definition is enough. Okay, so now that we're done with that, we go on to, so this is only for atoms, isn't it? As the name says, it's atomic, so this is for atom. Then if I say that, then there will be something called as molecular mass, correct? Which will measure, what will be molecular mass? It will be nothing but sum of all atomic masses. Okay, I'll take an example and show it to you. So if I'm talking about molecular mass, then it will be something like this. Wait, let's see. It's there here. Yep. So yeah, here, this is a good example. Okay, calculate the molecular mass of water. So
Water, we would have to add atomic masses
add,
of the elements.
yes, correct. So they'll give you atomic mass like they've given here. They've given you the atomic mass of hydrogen. They're giving you the atomic mass of oxygen, isn't it? So the molecular mass of water will be 2 into mass of hydrogen plus 1 into oxygen mass, which will give you 18. Correct? So should I write it here? Okay, fine. I'll just write it here. Oh, you couldn't hear me? Okay. I'll
Yes,
repeat,
ma'am.
sure. I was talking about molecular mass and I was showing you all an example. So the example is here in your textbook. So if I say something like calculate the molecular mass of water, H2O. So it will be something like, I hope you can see I've highlighted it here. This
Ma'am,
is,
we can't hear you properly. Like,
Yes,
oh,
ma'am.
voice is not in
It's
between.
not audible.
it's not audible. Oh, I'm sorry. Just give me 1 second. I'll just fix my internet connection. 1 second. Oh, sorry, I got disconnected. Am I audible now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Cool. Is it better than before? Back to that. Okay. Uh, yes, so I was discussing molecular mass, right? So basically it is nothing but the sum of all atomic masses. I was trying to show you this example. I'll write it here. Like for hydrogen, mass is 1, correct? 1 U. And for oxygen, it is 16 U. Okay. Now if I take the example of water, if I want to calculate the molecular mass of water, what will it be? It will be 2 into 1U plus 1 into 16, correct? Or basically 2 plus 16 or 18. This 18U which I have found out is the molecular mass of water. And how did I arrive at that? I multiplied so this is the atomic mass, correct? This is the atomic mass, this is the atomic mass. So I have multiplied the atomic mass with the respective number of atoms, right? And I've got the molecular mass. Okay, so this is done. Then we go on to something known as formula unit mass. Okay, for that, before we do this, there are 3 terms I want to check if you know. What is an ion? If I say what is an ion?
Ma'am, a type of a species wherein it either takes or it gains or gives electrons to gain positive or negative charge.
Uh, a species. Okay. Okay, there is a simpler way of putting it. Oh, Elena has a question. Okay, using C12 isotope, can they ask to find the mass of an atom? No, I don't think you have such kind of questions. Because, okay, you'll come to this. So, Elena, what I was discussing here, shall I scroll back up? This thing in the blue box is basically this, how I arrived at this part. Okay, sorry for the long arrow. Right, how do we get hydrogen as 1? How do we get oxygen as 16? Like, why is that so? All those things. Okay, so this is already given to you. You never have to calculate this. They won't ask you to calculate. Okay, so next thing was what is ion? You had given some answer also. Let me see. Electrically charged atom. Okay, yes. Elena says positively or negatively charged atom. Okay.
And a
Okay.
charged species is called an ion.
Okay, but I would suggest instead of saying species, you stick to atoms because everything comes down to atoms, isn't it? So atom would be better. Basically charged atom or group of atoms. Correct. Okay. So Vansh has already answered this, but the rest of you, I'm going to ask you. So the next question is, what is a cation and what is an anion?
Cation is a negatively charged ion and anion is a positive.
Cation is negatively charged and anion is positively charged.
No, ma'am, the other way around.
Huh. Okay, so this is actually the most confusing concept here. Yes, oh, most of you have answered. Okay, Alina, yes. Vasudha, yes. Anirban also, yes, you're right. Okay. So, basically, cation is always positive, anion is always negative. I'll give you a hint to remember, like this helped me, so maybe you can use it, or you can come up with something useful for you, whatever. But remember this, okay, negative में n आता है, correct? Negative, and anion has an n, so combine these two, that's all, like n and n, whichever has the same thing is negative. Cation and positive, I don't know how to correlate, like there's nothing matching. So this is one way. If you have any other mnemonic or any other way of remembering it, you can let me know.
Metals are usually cations and non-metals are usually anions.
Okay, yeah, but then yeah, that's fine. That's okay, yeah, that's fine. But then you get confused at the part again, which is positive, which is negative, isn't it? Like if you are just saying metals are cation, what are cations? Are they positive or are they negative?
And cation T is like a plus sign, so positive.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Okay, I like that. So he says cat, there is a T, the T looks like positive. Awesome. This is one more, and I think Alina has said something. No. Abhi said something. Yes. Cat is positive and is negative. Okay, but how will you like use that to remember? Okay, so you are saying cats are positive, something like that. Okay, fine. You can, work around this and come up with something of your own. The main point is to not get confused between these two. Cations are always positive and anions are always negative. And this is, a crucial concept like mole concept. So it is important that you have it cleared at this step itself. Why? Because this concept keeps coming later on. Cation, anion, mole, all these people will keep coming. So if you have it cleared right now itself, it will be very easy later on. Okay. Okay, so you are done with that. So basically what is formula unit mass is nothing but molecular mass, but for an ion. That's it. Very easy. Simplest definition, I think. So I write it here. Molecular mass, but for ions. So if I say NaCl, NaCl will fall under formula unit mass. Okay, so never get confused if you are given any one of these terms and you are asked to find the mass. Okay, cool. So we covered this, right? Yeah, we covered molecular mass. It's expressed in atomic mass unit itself. Okay, and formula unit mass, same thing. The only thing is that the only difference is that formula unit mass is of empirical formula and molecular mass is of molecular formula. Okay, have you all been taught what is empirical formula?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll tell you. Vansh is asking, can you ask us masses of different formula? Vansh, I'm not able to understand your question. What are you trying to ask, Vansh? Are you asking that will they ask questions based on this? Okay, so basically I'll tell you what is empirical formula. Cool. So this compound is like NaCl, correct? you'll notice that it has like one Na atom and one Cl atom, correct? But then there are compounds like, let's take the example of, let's say, methane. Okay, in methane it's what, 1 carbon 4 hydrogen, correct? Then if I take an example of benzene, what will it be? 6 carbon 6 hydrogen, correct? So this is different. In case of NaCl, okay, so I'll tell you the definition first. Okay, so basically empirical is the lowest formula. Like for NaCl, it's already one atom of Na and one atom of Cl, correct? So this is the lowest. The formula for NaCl, like the mass for NaCl, will be the same as this. But if I talk about CH4, the formula unit mass will be calculated just as CnH. Same for this, CnH. It will be the lowest value, actually not just CnH, it will be like, okay, it will be the lowest possible value which you can write. For this I'll have to take up. Okay, for now just remember that, don't get into empirical. Just remember that formula unit mass is for ions. Okay, that's it for now. I think that is sufficient. Empirical formula comes a bit later classes, so I don't want to get into that.
Ma'am, I did not get mole concept. You started explaining it, I guess.
Yes, I'm coming to that. Yes, so I finished the formula mass. No, I was talking about molecular mass. So now I'm coming to mole. Okay, so we are done calculating this. So now we come to this, back to this concept called mole. So 1 mole, right, is nothing but, yeah. So the mole is the amount of a substance which contains as many particles, atoms, ions, molecules or formula units as in 12 grams of C12. Correct? This is the concept. Mole is the amount of a substance which contains as many particles. Okay. And what do they say? That the number of particles present in 1 mole of any substance is same and fixed. Okay. So it's basically, I think this is given better in your textbook. I'll show it to you from here. Okay. So what are they saying here is that this new unit mole was introduced. I'm here in this paragraph. This new unit mole was introduced because it was more convenient to refer to the quantity of substance in terms of its molecules or atoms. It was getting difficult to speak in terms of mass, correct? If we talk about like mass for big equations, it gets difficult. So they came up with mole. Okay, so now they are saying 1 mole contains exactly. So the first thing, let's clear all this and let's write it here. What is the first thing they say? 1 mole, like 1 mole has 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 particles. Okay, this is the first key thing. Second key concept is, this is Avogadro number. Okay, we finished all this. Okay, the amount of substance N is a measure of the number of specified elementary entity. Okay. Hi Tashvi, any doubt you have? Yeah, sure, you can talk to me after class. Why not? Okay.
Ma'am, here we're talking about the mass, right?
Huh? Sorry?
Here, are we talking about the mass?
No, this is the amount of substance. how do I say? Okay, they are trying to connect mole to mass. Okay, I'll tell you what it is. Just give me 1 second. The amount of substance N for a system is the measure of the number of specified elementary entities. So basically they are saying the amount of a substance. Okay, I'll write it here. Amount of substance is denoted by N, correct? It is the measure of elementary entities means what? Let's take this example again, H2O. So elementary entities here is what? Hydrogen and oxygen, correct? So that's what they're saying. The amount of substance N of a system is measure of the number of specified elementary entities. So it will be like it can be a atom, a molecule, an ion, an electron, or anything. Okay, so the mole is the amount of substance that contains. Okay, so they are just relating this and this. They are basically saying amount of substance N can be molecule, ion,
I can't hear you.
atom.
Your voice is cracking.
My voice is cracking again. Okay, just a second. Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Jaden, what happened? You have a doubt? Okay, so they are basically connecting from how does this go away? Fine. So the statement which we read was 1 mole has 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 particles. So now these particles are basically amount of substance which can be either a molecule, ion, atom, etc. Okay, that's all that paragraph is trying to say. That the mole contains this 6.022 number elementary entities, or it contains that many atoms or that many molecules, that many ions or electrons. So you can use any suffix here instead of particles. You can replace it with any of these. That's basically what it's trying to say. Okay, then what else it says? Okay, the mass of 1 mole of a substance is equal to its relative atomic or molecular mass in grams. Okay, so they are telling you the formula, they are telling you the procedure how to relate moles to molecular mass, correct? Okay, let's just jump here. We spoke about atomic mass units, correct? Because of to come here itself, I had to discuss what is atomic mass unit, what is molecular mass, and what is formula unit mass. Okay, so we discussed, correct, what is atomic mass unit. So to get the mass of 1 mole of an atom of that element, okay, we take the same numerical value but change from U to G, or molar mass of an atom is also known as gram atomic mass. Okay, they have given you the example. Like for hydrogen, the atomic mass is 1 U, so gram atomic mass will be 1 G. Correct? Okay, I'll explain it to you what they are trying to say. Let's take the example of hydrogen. Okay, so hydrogen has an atomic mass of 1 U. U is the symbol for the unit for atomic mass, correct? In order to express this as moles, we can also write that hydrogen has a gram atomic mass of 1 G. So you can, okay, let me write it in this different color.
So ma'am, basically U is equal to G.
Yes. Mostly, I'll tell you like how to go about this. I'm just
So if it is 16U, it will be 16G.
actually, yes, you're right. It is that. But this 16, it comes under molecular mass. So then there are two different types of masses, which one will be the given mass and one will be the molar mass or the molecular mass or G. So I'll tell you the difference between the two. Okay, so yeah, so basically I'm writing this here as star. Just write it for your reference. To convert atomic mass to gram atomic mass, substitute U with G, correct? That's all. So we are done with this. Then the next thing they are saying is they are telling you how do you relate the two. So one atomic unit of hydrogen has only one atom of hydrogen, correct? So 1 gram of hydrogen has 1 mole atoms. That is that many atoms. Okay. So now they have brought this relation in the picture. So if I am saying H is 1 U, which is meaning it has 1 G, correct? So 1 gram or 1 gram atomic mass of H has only one H atom, correct? Which means how many particles will it have? It will have 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 atoms. Correct, no? Did you get it? This point?
How will one atom have 6.022 into 23 atoms?
Okay, one hydrogen atom has these many. Okay, how should I express it? Like, it will be. Okay, yeah. This is 1 mole of atom. Fine. Okay, my bad. This will be 1 mole hydrogen atoms. Okay, better now? Okay, see, mole is a unit, okay, which is used to correlate masses. Are you getting it? So I'm expressing this in different units. This is all I'm doing. This statement here in green, which I'm putting a star next to, is basically expressing hydrogen in different types of units. That's all. So I can either say it is 1 gram hydrogen, or I can say it is 1 mole hydrogen atoms, or I can say it is 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 particles or atoms or entities. Are you getting it?
So ma'am, even if we say 1 gram H or 1 gram O, the answer will be 6.022 into 10 raised to 23.
So 1 gram is specific to hydrogen. It won't be the case for oxygen now. So see, they have also given the second example as oxygen. We'll also take it as oxygen. So oxygen case, what is the atomic mass of oxygen? It is 16, correct? So it will become 16 grams. So how will I write it? I'll write it 16 grams of oxygen is the same as 16 moles of oxygen atoms. Oh, actually this will become 32. Correct? Okay, I'll show you why. Just give me a second. Okay, if they are considering just O, then it's fine. Fine. So we'll take it just O. This is an example for just oxygen, not O2. In case of oxygen, right, the atomic mass is 16U. So the gram atomic mass will become 16G. Or I can say 16G of O is nothing but 16 moles of O is nothing but 16 into 6 to the 6.22 into 10 to the power 23 atoms.
But ma'am, if we say 16G of O is 16 moles of O, then 1G will be 1 mole, right?
Oh no, sorry. This will be the same. So this will also be 16 G of O has 1 mole of sorry, my bad. Still have 1 mole of oxygen atom because the number of atoms is only 1, right? We are just talking of O. I'll tell you, my bad. I only got confused. I'll tell you why. Okay. If I talk about O2, let's clear the confusion. What will it be? So for O it is 16U. For O2 it will be
32.
correct. 32. Okay. So I will say 32 gram of O and then O2 and then I will go to 2 moles of oxygen. Correct. Now this is correct. Are you getting it? So basically we multiply this number of moles of oxygen or this number which come is basically the atomicity, isn't it?
Miss, shouldn't you
Ma'am, by
multiply
this
32 by 6.022 into 10 raised to 23, like the mass of the atom?
Okay, no. This is not okay. So see, these statements which I have written here are expressing the same amount of mass in different units. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that 32 grams is equivalent to 2 moles is equivalent to this figure. Okay, that these all are the same, are one and the same is what this relation is trying to prove. Are you getting me? Oh, no. So these are all the units. Okay, so this is all
Ma'am,
for mass. Tell me.
from the first two statements, like we got that 1gh is equal to 6.2 into 10 raised to 23 atoms and 16GO is equal to 6.022 into 10 raised to 23 atoms. So 16GO is equal to 1gh, right?
No, that would be the right way of putting it. So, okay, what this actually translates is that if you have an atom, let's say X, okay, only one atom, okay, it will always have 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 particles. Are you getting it? If I'm talking about X atom, then this will be particle. If I talk about X molecule, this becomes atoms. This is how this changes. So this value will be the same, just the unit next to it will change. That's why I showed you the definition here. In the book, it says, right? So it's nothing but the amount
How
of
can
substance.
it equal?
How can it equal?
You are using the X, right? So it has to be equal for every element.
Yeah, that's right.
How can one oxygen, 1g oxygen be equal to 1g hydrogen? Like the mole will be same.
Okay, so yeah, that's the whole point, right? That's why they came up with this unit system to make life simpler. So mole is a completely different kind of unit where they have defined all this. So while initiating, like while defining mole itself, they said that it is nothing but 6.022 into 23 atoms or ions or anything. So whenever I write any element, any compound, anything, I break it down in the form of moles, I will always get it in multiples of 6.022, something into 6.022. Okay, and number of moles basically will keep increasing as the number of the number of atoms or number of molecules increases in that compound. These are different units. So 1 gram is different. 1 gram and 1 mole is different. Mole has a different definition. This number is constant. So this fact that 1 mole is always 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 is constant. But what is it? 23 atoms, or is it 23 this number particles, or is it this number ions? That changes based on what you have. Like if you have NaCl, it will become ions. Correct?
Ma'am, we can't hear you.
Okay, I was saying if you have NaCl, this 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 becomes ions. It won't be atoms. That's only how it changes. Okay, should I explain it with another example? Okay, see, I'll show it to you how they are all the same. So cool. Like they have given that example, we'll take it. Acha, so we talked about hydrogen. First thing we'll talk about hydrogen. Okay. So what is it? It is 1H. Okay, H is 1U, correct? Or I can also say it is 1G, correct? So 1G of H is nothing but 1 mole atoms of H, which is nothing but 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 particles. Correct? Now I'm taking example of oxygen. Oxygen. In oxygen, what is the case? In atomic mass units, it's 16, so it translates to 16 gram atomic units. Correct? Oh, why have I written H here? Sorry. This is O, correct? So I say that 16 gram O is nothing but 1 mole atoms of O, which is nothing but 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 particles. Now I am taking a classic example of a compound formed between these two. Okay, H2O. So if I'm talking of H2O, its atomic mass is 18, correct? Or this is also the molecular mass, correct? I will directly write it as 18 gram atomic units. So if I say 18 gram atomic units of H2O has 1 mole atoms of water, it is nothing but 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 atoms. Are you getting it? Okay, you know why this is, why they have
How can
introduced
1
this?
mole atom of H2O be equal to 1 mole atom of oxygen?
That's what I'm saying, that this is you know why this system has come into picture. It's because of this, because you have this equation H2 plus O2 is giving you H2H2O. This is a balanced chemical equation. This is actually the way they have explained it in NCERT also, why they have come across mole and everything. So when you try to calculate all the masses, it gets tedious. Okay, so what do they do is, this number which is there here in front of this is considered as the number of moles. So 1 mole of hydrogen combines with 1 mole of oxygen to give you 2 moles of water. This is how it is written in mole format. Are you getting it? So this is how should I say? A mole is like, it's a relative unit. You do not consider it like you don't like it is a unit which is derived because they want to equate everything, because they are just, what are they trying to say, that it is the number of substance, so this will change, right? It won't be the same. If I'm telling 1 mole atom if 1 mole of H2O, in fact I should remove the word atoms here. This will be 1 mole of H2O. Okay, what is that equal to actually? It's equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 atoms of H2O. Correct? But in this case it is particles. So there is a difference between atoms, particles and all that. That's why that definition which is there here. Okay, this definition is key. What is that here? This thing. It's up here. This. The amount of substance N of a system is a measure of the number of specified elementary. This thing. This paragraph, if you read it once more, this is the crux of the whole thing. Okay, that N will keep changing. It depends on what you are talking about. Are you talking about atoms, then it will become particles. If you're talking about molecules, it will become atoms. If you're talking about compound, it will become molecules, like that.
So Miss, N is never fixed.
No, it is not fixed. That's what they are saying. The amount of substance, it is a measure of whatever you wish to take. Do you wish to take atoms, or do you, it depends on the context actually, like I showed it to you here. If you look at this,
Yeah.
you'll get it. This will help you clear everything. So if I'm talking about H itself, it becomes particles. If I talk about water, water is a compound, it goes back to like these many atoms, or it will, you know, if you subdivide it further, you can say like these many atoms of H and these many atoms of O. But we want to talk together like just one entity, so it will become atoms.
Okay, Miss.
Okay, so this is actually what they have explained here. This whole thing, right, this whole 2-3 paragraphs which are there here is just these lines which I have translated for you here. That's all. Do one thing, after class today, try reading this. Okay, it might, you know, help. Yes. Okay, so see, they have given you one more example here. So like here, 18U of water has only one molecule of water, correct? This is what we've done here. Okay, so they have taken it as molecules. Fine, I'll take it as molecules. Okay, so what are they? They are considering this H2O as one entity. Are you getting it? Like entity is nothing but this. They are not considering it as a compound. It's just translating to X. So this whole thing, like this can even be C6H5O, or this can be even some other higher complicated formula, but the whole thing is considered as one. That's it, one thing, like that. That helps in reducing calculations. For that purpose, this whole concept was introduced. Okay, see, yeah, here it is. Chemists need the number of atoms and molecules while carrying out reactions, and for this they need to relate the mass in grams to the number. So 1 mole is 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 number, which is the relative mass in grams. A mole is a chemist's counting unit. Understood? It's different. So there is no relation between gram and, you know, their gram is completely different, mole is completely different, like that. And number of particles will always be same. So anything if it is 1, so like here, like you know, you know, right, different units from where they have come. Like for 1 AMU, I said it was 1/12 the mass of C12, correct? That's how we got for AMU. Like that, mole is this fixed number always. This sorry, wait, God, yeah, this fixed number of particles always. Okay, so this is for you to understand why mole came into the picture. But while calculating, you don't have to do any such thing. I'll quickly tell you how to calculate. Okay, since that's where you are getting confused, isn't it? Let's take this example. I'll show it to you. Calculate the number of moles for the following: 52 grams of He, finding a mole from mass. Okay, the first subpart. Okay, so there is this one formula for moles. How do you convert that? Just remember this always. This is the only formula we use. Mostly in almost 90% of your sums, you are going to be using this part. Okay. So I'll make this simpler for you. What is this translating actually? Given mass will be the mass mentioned in the question paper. Mentioned in the question. Okay. That is the given mass. Molar mass is nothing but molecular mass. No, wait, you need to, yeah, fine, correct. Okay. I'm not writing this gets,
Say it again.
yeah, wait, no, I don't want to say this because you will get confused if I say this statement, so I'll tell it to you. Okay, given mass is basically the mass mentioned in the question. I'll tell you what is molar mass. Molar mass is basically the gram atomic mass, which is equal to molecular mass or atomic mass unit. U. Got it? Okay. Fine. So let's quickly take this question and I'll explain it to you once and for all. Okay, so find 52 grams, calculate number of moles for the following 52 grams of He. Correct? So what did I say? Given mass is always, so we need to find number of moles, correct? Let's use a different pen. Okay. Number of moles. So what is the given mass here? It will be 52, correct? Like I said, this is blindly, you need to just take it. Whenever you want to know what is the given mass, it is always the mass which is given to you in the question. So they have asked you 52 grams of He, correct? So it will be 52. And what will be the molar mass? So you, for that you will be either, yes. So should I write it here? Okay. Molar mass is nothing but 4g because the atomic mass, since atomic mass of He is 4u. Okay. This is simple. You just convert u to g. That's it. So this is nothing but 52 by 4. What will the answer be? 4, 1, 3, 43. No, 30. 30 moles. Correct. So this is one type of question which you are asked. Solved it. Simple. Correct. This formula. Okay. Let's see what is the next thing. Number of moles.
I have a question.
Yes, tell me.
And when you write in the above, given mass by molar mass is equal to given number of particles by Avogadro's number. Why did you write molar mass as Avogadro's number?
No. These are two different formulas. Okay. Sorry. Is it not clear? Okay. So this basically means number of moles. Okay. I'll write it here again. That was basically this. Number of moles can be calculated using two formulas. One is by this, given mass by molar mass. Okay. Second method is this, number of particles. They are not equal. Sometimes they give you number of particles, then you need to divide it by Avogadro's number. Okay, yeah. So these are the two formulas to calculate number of moles. Always remember this. This will solve, like, this is applicable for 99% of your problems given in this chapter. Cool. So yeah, the second, oh, where did it go? Huh. So here, see, they have given you number of helium atoms. So finding the mole from number of particles, correct? So they are making use of both. So for this, what you will do? Simple. So for this, it will be the second one for the
Your voice
second
is
part.
cracking.
Voice is cracking. Sorry. Is it fine now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so the second question they have given you, I'll write it here. The question they have given you 12.044 into 10 to the power 23 particles of He. Correct? They want you to find the number of moles. So how will you do? Number of moles is equal to, you use the second formula, number of particles by Avogadro's number. Right? 6.022. Oops. Mistake. This will be 2 point something. 2.0.
2 moles.
But 2. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Because 6.022 into 2 is 12.04.
Correct. Okay. Yes. Should be 2 moles. Okay. So see, this question covered both the formulae which I was talking about. So you may have a question that how will you know where to use which formula? Isn't it? Out of these two formulas, how will you know where to use which one? So I'll give you a very simple hint that whenever you see anything raised to 10 to the power something, go for the second one. You can blindly go for the second one. Okay, because number of particles always will have 10 to the power something. Correct? And whenever they give you something like 12 gram, or you see a unit with G, okay, always go for the first formula. Cool. Okay, let me see, is there anything more? Okay. Okay, yeah. So what we'll do is we'll solve now. I hope the ones who had doubt in mole concept, is it clear now? Are you little bit feeling like confident?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, what we'll do is you try to solve sums today and tomorrow. We'll be meeting again on Thursday, right? So we'll cover all possible questions on mole concept that day. Okay? All of them. I'll make it a point to solve so that all your doubts are cleared. So ensure that you are solving today or tomorrow whenever, right? So that we know which questions you all have doubts in and which questions we need to practice more, which type of questions. Okay, cool. So then
Ma'am,
with
I have
your
some sums left in the fortnight.
are some sums left, sorry, in
The fortnight homework, so I can. Should I just do it from there or should I do extra?
no, do it from there now, that's fine. That is the same thing, you'll be covering that, right? So level 1 and level 2 questions are assigned, isn't it? So you
Okay.
can solve those, and in case you all have any doubts, you let me know. Okay, we'll do it on Thursday together.
Okay.
With your students, any update? Have you all solved questions? Had you all had any doubts? Sorry, you were saying something?
Should we leave?
Yeah, sure, you can leave. Elena, yes, I will be
Thank
sharing
you,
the
ma'am.
link. Yeah, bye. With your students, where are you, Puneet, Neki?
Yes, ma'am.
Acha,
Yes, ma'am.
you all solved is matter rounders questions?
Currently, I was listening to this chapter.
Acha, okay. Okay, then what about the rest? Atharva says solved. Atharva, any doubts?
Ma'am, can the other people leave?
Yes, yes, sure, you can leave.
Sorry.
Yeah. Bye.
Ma'am, what about my doubts that I had asked you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had
Ma'am,
no time.
today I started tissues.
Huh? Sorry?
Ma'am, when did tissues in the fortnight homework? I'm about to do the next chapter.
Okay, you are about to do tissues.
No, tissues I have completed. I'm about to do the atoms. Matter
Okay.
around a sphere.
No, you have atoms only, atoms and molecules.
Yeah.
Cool. So solve it. If you have any doubts, we'll discuss them on Thursday, okay? Yeah, Neki, I'll get back to you today itself. I'm sorry, I was caught up in a lot of work past few days. So okay, Tashvi, yes, if you all don't have any doubts, you all can leave. All of you. Tashvi, tell me, what did you want to talk about?
Ma'am, actually, I'm having a chemistry project, and
Yes, I want
I